It is another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at one of the more impressive weeks of the year. We've got 6 movies to take a look at on this August 14th, 2009, and I think all of them are pretty good movies. I mean, some of them are great films, others not quite. I mean, they're good, but they're not as great as some of the other movies we're going to get to here, but there is no turkeys on this particular episode. We've got 6 films overall that overall are very good. So we're in for a real treat this week. So let's just stop not wasting more time. Let's get right to it. Starting off with the biggest new release of the weekend, easily the most impressive movie, not just of this weekend, pretty much the entire year in particular, for just how this thing came together. This is District 9. So District 9 is basically this movie that is taking place in a mostly found footage format, which features fictional interviews, news footage, and video from surveillance cameras, and explores the themes of humanity, xenophobia, and social segregation, beginning in an alternate 1982, when an alien spaceship appears over Johannesburg, South Africa. When a population of sick and malnourished insectoid aliens are discovered on the ship, the South African government confines them to an internment camp called District 9. 20 years later, during the government's relocation into the other alien strand of the camp, one of the confined aliens, named Christopher Johnson, who was about to try to escape from Earth with his son and return home, crosses paths with a bureaucrat named Wikus van der Meer, I think I pronounced that right, leading the relocation, and the title is inspired by the events of Cape Town, District 6 during the Apartheid era. And for the longest time, the big thing about this movie in particular is that it only cost $30 million to make. This movie looks incredible for the $30 million budget that they had. And it worked out in its favor. It was a massive hit with critics. It was a big commercial success. Got nominated for 4 Academy Awards, including Best Picture. And the one thing I always ask myself about this movie is, how did they do it? How did they make a movie like this for only $30 million? For the longest time, I could never figure it out. But this past time when I watched it again, I think I finally figured it out. And honestly, I think it's right in front of us why this movie cost as much as it did and worked. Think about it. Who's the biggest name attached to this movie? Peter Jackson. However, he's a producer on the movie. The film was directed by Neil Blomkamp, who had never directed a movie before this. It features a lot of actors in here who were relative unknowns. I mean, the biggest name of this group that I see here is Charles Copley, and even he wasn't really a big name when this movie came out. He kind of isn't now, but you still see him in more stuff nowadays. But that's why I think a lot of this movie's beneficial to the budget. Beneficial. What am I trying to say here? A lot of the film's benefit to having that $30 million budget mostly comes from the fact that there's no big names attached to this movie that would affect the budget overall. And compare that to what we see nowadays with blockbusters, the Marvel movies, for example. I mean, yeah, they have some unknown directors there, but they still have notable name stars in there. They're getting these big paychecks, from Disney and Marvel, and Star Wars is another one. The DC movies. Pretty much every blockbuster has that feeling of these are not big names, but we could use the money to pay the actors and pay the directors and the bigger names involved in here, and also focus more on the special effects. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. Really, is that this film did not have a big team around it overall in terms of notable names in here, but it didn't need to, because it had a really good concept overall. It has a really good look to it overall. This is a groundbreaking movie. This is a film that I really, really loved when it came out, and I still love it nowadays. I mean, this showed you what you can do with a very small budget overall. If you're able to pull off this with $30 million, you can do it with anything. Like, you see these movies that are over budget overall. It's just like you come to the realization that they're not putting that money to the movie in general. They're putting it to the names. They're putting it to all the people that are the bigger names that are involved in this. They're not usually using it on the script overall, or focus. They're mostly focusing on the visuals and the names, because that's the only reason people will go to those movies, according to them. But I mean, we just saw recently Sinners recently was a prime example of a movie like District 9, where you have big names attached to it. Well, not even that, but Sinners overall had bigger names to it, but they were able to keep the budget down, and Warner Brothers just let them do whatever they want, and it paid off in the big time for them. But in the case of District 9, I wouldn't say this was really a gamble overall, but it really exceeded a lot of people's expectations. Nobody was expecting this to be as good as it was. On top of that, it's a sci-fi film that's supposed to be mostly an original concept, even though it's based off of a short by the same director called Alive and Joburg. But it's an original concept overall. It's a short. It's an original concept that's, some people could look at this as probably a future franchise in general, and it didn't. I mean, they knew how to keep this restrained to one movie and not focus on another movie unless they really needed to do that. And they don't really do that towards the end of it, but I mean, it just goes to show you what this movie is capable of doing. It's a great film. Sharlto Copley, I think, is very good in his film debut. The visuals overall are very impressive. The alien work here is well done. The visuals overall are top-notch. I mean, this is a good movie. The story overall is really good as well. I mean, this film just works on so many levels, and yet you still wonder what happened to this director. I mean, this guy looked like he was on his way to becoming a big rising director in the future, because if he could do this with District 9, imagine what he could do with other projects as well. But they eventually gave him other projects, and he didn't really pan out as well as this movie did overall. I mean, look at the next movie he directed, Elysium. They gave him a much bigger budget overall, and yeah, it was a hit overall, but most people, including myself, saw it as more of a massive disappointment to District 9 in general. I still really like it, but at the same time, you could definitely tell that they were putting too much focus on the star power in that movie. And even when Chappie came out, which was a much smaller movie, but still a bit higher than this movie, it really did feel like Blomkamp lost his way. Of course, I've talked about that movie as one of my worst movies of all time, because, yeah, it's a terrible movie. And he hasn't been the same since then. He's not made a good movie since where I got really excited to see him do something great again. And it's a shame, because this movie showed a lot of potential of what he could do if the studio would just let him keep a restrained budget to it. But no, they saw how well this movie did. They gave him a bigger bloated budget with the next couple of movies, and it just didn't work out for him. He hasn't made a good movie since this film. This was his magnum opus overall, and if we never get a sequel out of it, I think we should be more than happy about that. But as it is, it's a really good movie. It's a film that is very enjoyable. It's a very entertaining film. Yeah, it's a really, really damn good movie, and for the smallest budget you can make for a blockbuster like this. But yeah, not much more to say about it. District 9 is pretty freaking awesome, and if you haven't seen it already, you are doing yourself a huge disservice by not doing so. So, with all that said, let's go ahead and move on to some other movies that came out this weekend, including Rachel McAdams and Eric Bana starring in the romantic drama The Time Traveler's Wife. So it's basically Somewhere in Time, but instead of having Superman and Dr. Quinn getting together in a time travel romance, this time it's the Hulk and Regina George. So take that for what you will. I mean, it is literally like the equivalent of Somewhere in Time, but in this story you have Eric Bana, who is a Chicago librarian who has a paranormal genetic disorder that causes him to randomly time travel. He tries to build a romantic relationship with a woman played by Rachel McAdams, who he meets when she's a child, and who later becomes his wife. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of stuff in this movie that seems really off, especially the fact that, this guy wants to date this child, and it's really, really off at times, but it does work. Eventually it does. It takes a little bit to get going. Like, once you get past the ewiness of how these two meet in the first place, this is a film where once it gets going, you do start to get invested overall. I thought Eric Bana and Rachel McAdams had some really good chemistry together. I thought the concept overall was really good. I think it's a fun concept, fun idea with time travel. Have this guy who has this disease that causes him to randomly time travel and then, build this relationship overall. I mean, it's something that works overall, and I thought did a pretty good job of handling that. They got a good writer involved in this, Bruce Joel Rubin, who wrote the script for Ghost, of course, and this director, Robert Schwentek, has not really gone on to do a whole lot of good stuff overall. I mean, this is the same guy that did Flight Plan, Red, R.I.P.D., the Divergent movies, Snake Eyes. Probably this is his overall best movie as the director, and even then, it's not really starting off that strong overall. But with that said, though, it's not a bad movie. It's just something that you have to get through the first maybe 20, 25 minutes of it to really get invested in overall. This is coming from somebody who never read the book overall. I don't even know if the book is anything like this movie, but I know that the writer of this basically said she had no intentions of ever watching it, so take that for what you will. Sometimes it means that they know the movie is bad, or sometimes you can be like Alan Moore. I just don't want to watch anything of your work, period, pretty much. But, But overall, yeah, I thought the movie was pretty good. It has to take some time to get going, though. I mean, it really takes about near a half hour for the film to really show off its good stuff overall. And once it gets going, it's pretty good for what it is. So take that for what you will. That is The Time Traveler's Wife. So let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, which is a criminally underrated comedy that came out this weekend, produced by Will Ferrell, and that is Jeremy Piven in The Goods. Live hard, sell hard. Jeremy Piven as Ari Gold as Don Reddy in The Goods. And that's pretty much what he is in this movie, but God bless it, he makes it work. In a desperate attempt to save his rapidly failing used car dealership, Ben Selleck hires a crack team of car mercenaries to ramp up sales during the 4th of July weekend. Led by the fast-talking, foul-mouthed, self-assured Don, the goods ready. The group has 3 days to sell over 200 cars, but as Don undertakes his newest mission and quickly falls for the boss's daughter, Ivy, he realizes he'll have to trust more than his cars and his crafty skills in the seek to make a success out of the daunting weekend. As you see a little bit in the trailer there, this thing has a stacked-ass cast to it. I mean, Jeremy Piven, Ving Rhames, James Brolin plays Ben Selleck, David Koechner, Catherine Hahn looking her hottest in this movie. I mean, good lord. That red hair does her good in this movie. Ed Helms, Jordana Spiro from My Boys, very underrated actress overall. Tony Hale, Ken Jeong, Rob Riggle, Alan Thicke, Charles Napier, Jonathan Sadowski, Noreen DeWolf, Wendy Malick, Craig Robinson, Brian Callen, Matt Walsh, Ian Roberts, Kristen Shaw, Jessica St. Clair, T.J. Miller. Will Ferrell has an uncredited cameo in here. So does Gina Gershon, Paul Lieberstein. I mean, this cast is stacked with notable names in this movie that just work very well. And this is a really good, funny, underrated movie. This is a film that came and went. Nobody went to go see this movie. It got pushed off to the side. It didn't do well with critics overall. But, I mean, it did make its money back overall. It only cost $10 million and brought back $15 million. So it wasn't a huge flop overall. And, it's actually a whole lot better than you would give it credit for. I mean, it's literally the Will Ferrell formula, except the fact that it's not Will Ferrell, it's Ari Gold from Entourage. And Jeremy Piven is a very good, fun, comedic actor. I mean, he's great on Entourage. He's great in stuff like Very Bad Things. I mean, the guy has acting chops all across the board, and he is such a good actor. And here, he gets a chance to shine in a rare starring role for him. I mean, this is a rare starring role for him in particular. And he just makes it work to a T. He has a great cast around him, just a really good concept overall. I mean, this is a really, really damn good movie. It's a very funny film. So well done. I really enjoy the hell out of this movie. This film does not get the proper attention it deserves, but man, it's one you want to check out. If you want to see prime, good, Will Ferrell-esque-like comedy when it's actually very funny, this is definitely one to check out. The Goods, Live Hard, Sell Hard. Seek this one out. You will not be disappointed by it whatsoever. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, and that's the latest film from Hayao Miyazaki, Disney's latest Studio Ghibli release, Ponyo. This is, of course, Ponyo, the latest film from Hayao Miyazaki, and I love how the trailer is a completely lies to you. It makes it seem like the dad, Liam Neeson, is fully in on Ponyo saving the day, but it turns out that Ponyo is actually the one that kind of starts the whole thing overall, and he's more than upset about the whole thing. I mean, that's literally what the plot of the movie is. You have the story of a goldfish named Ponyo, played by Noah Cyrus, who escapes from the ocean and is rescued by a 5-year-old boy, played by Frankie Jonas, Sosuke, after she is washed ashore and trapped in a glass jar. As they bond with each other, the story deals with resolving Ponyo's desire to become a human girl against the devastating circumstances brought about her acquisition and use of magic. And, it's definitely one of the more bizarre Hayao Miyazaki movies, but one of the more awkward ones too, because some of the English dubbing on this is not really all that good. I mean, there's definitely a lot of times when you could just tell that the actors are there to just be notable names in the film, and they're not really giving it in. Like, there's a part in the movie where, Matt Damon's playing Sosuke's father, and he sees Ponyo for the first time and what they're doing with all the fishes and all that, and he has this look on the way he says the line. It's a little girl. She looks like she's Sosuke's age. Like, just the way they say it, it's just like, it's odd. But man, Liam Neeson is the one who comes off the oddest in this movie. Like, he has lines in this film where he's like, you don't really know if he's trying or not, but the more times you hear it, it's more hilarious to see this strained performance out of him that just feels off. Like there's a part where, he's going to Kate Blanchett, who I guess is kind of the mother of this goldfish, sort of. It's a really weird concept overall, but there's a part where he has to say the lines, "Please destroy the little boy or the planet is doomed." Like, it's something where it shouldn't sound off overall. It's a weird line overall, but the way Liam Neeson says it with that monotone voice of it, it's just like, "Please destroy the little boy or the planet is doomed." Like it's weird, it's off-putting, but at the same time, it makes me laugh every time I hear it, because it's one of those lines where it's just kind of like, what the hell was that? What was that take? Was that really the best take you could do with this? But regardless, it's still a pretty good movie overall. This is a film that is visually pleasing as all hell to look at. It's that great classic Studio Ghibli animation we're so used to knowing and loving. And it is a real fun story that's both heartwarming, kind of intense too, and a bit dark at times too. Even though the story overall kind of doesn't really make a whole lot of sense overall. Like, characters will do stuff that makes no sense whatsoever. Like, Lily Tomlin is one of the old people in here that's so obsessed with this fish being brought back into the ocean, because if he doesn't put it back in there, it'll cause a tsunami. And she says tsunami like 10 times in this movie. Like, she is over the top in this movie. In fact, most of the people in here are either over the top, or they're too monotone and too strained with what they're doing. But in a way, that's kind of the fun factor with the movie. You don't really know what's going on in here, but you're still invested with what's going on. And it kind of gives the movie more of an edge than most of Miyazaki's works overall. It can be very funny, even when it's not intentionally supposed to be funny. A cast that is doing the best they can with this. Good music overall. It's still a good movie overall. It's a film I do say that I do enjoy it. I still think it's a ton of fun. It's one you should definitely check out. It's Studio Ghibli. Studio Ghibli very rarely makes a bad movie overall. I think the worst thing they ever did was that CG movie that they did a couple years ago. But really, they've very rarely steered the wrong way. It's a film that, it is what it is, but it's what you come to expect from Studio Ghibli. It's a good movie overall. What more can you say about it? Ponyo's a ton of fun. So, with that said, let's get back to some more underrated gems that came out this weekend, including our next movie, Vanessa Hudgens, starring in Band Slam. Sadly, did not do very well. It was a commercial failure at the box office. But the film overall was well received by critics for the most part, and overall, it's a very good movie that really deserves a lot more attention. I think I gave you some bum information last time when I thought Ashley Tisdale was in this movie. Once again, I'm completely full of it because she is not in this movie. It's Ali Mashaka from Phil of the Future, and part of the Ali and AJ group overall. So it makes sense she's in here. It's a movie about rock bands overall, where you have a story revolving around Will, played by Galen Connell, and Charlotte, Ali Mashaka, who form an unlikely bond through the shared love of music. Assembling a like-minded crew of misfits, the friends form a rock group and form in a Battle of the Bands competition called Band Slam. And of course, he has also he's kind of a love triangle between Mashaka and also Vanessa Hudgens. What a great movie, man. Talk about one of those surprises that really came out of nowhere. I mean, this is a film that is really, really good. The performances overall are very good. Everybody in here plays their parts very well. The casting overall is great. Not only the three leading actors, but you have Scott Porter in here, Lisa Kudrow. There's cameos by people like David Bowie. I mean, this is a really good movie overall. The music overall is great. Like, it's a well-made film. It's a really, really damn good movie, and I think the biggest problem with this movie overall was the marketing. They really did a pretty bad job of selling this movie overall. I mean, it's something where Deadline Hollywood did an article about this not too long after the movie came out, and some of its marketing had been basically sold it based on the fact that it had Vanessa Hudgens and Ali Mashaka instead of selling the concept of the movie. And the email also claimed that they basically Disneyfied the movie with glitter paint, and Yale Daily News marked the film having the worst marketing, pointing out that Summit Entertainment, who had done an admirable job marketing the Twilight films, completely ruined what should have been a sleeper hit. Well, if you have to promote your new Twilight movie with this film, yeah, chances are you're probably not doing a good job of selling the film in general. And so, yeah, the film kind of came and went. And it's a bummer because it really is a very good movie. The music overall is great. This is directed by a really good director, Todd Graff, whose last movie was Camp. And the next movie he'll make was Joyful Noise, which I think is another really good underrated movie with Keke Palmer, Queen Latifah, Dolly Parton. Really, really good movie. This is a good director overall, and I wish he kind of did more stuff overall, but I don't... Yeah, I think the last thing he directed was Joyful Noise. He hasn't done anything since then, but... I mean, overall, he's a really good director, and he really shows it with this movie. This is a really good movie. One that sadly got overlooked when it came out. Bad marketing overall. But it's definitely worth a look out for. Definitely seek this one out if you can find it. Band Slam really is worth your time. So that's what I highly recommend. So let's go ahead and move on to our last movie that we have here. Ashton Kutcher starring in Spread. Oh yeah, he talks like Matthew McConaughey in this movie. I completely forgot about that. It's been a couple of years that I've seen this movie, and yeah, watching that trailer again, I just kind of the realization of, oh, he's supposed to be Matthew McConaughey. That accent can get pretty old pretty fast, but the movie overall really is a lot better than you think it is. You have Ashton Kutcher starring as a homeless, carless, and closing in on 30 person who's living in Los Angeles. He's immoral, good-looking, and inept in the sack, moving from one wealthy woman of 35 or 40 to another, a kept boy toy. His newest gig with Samantha, played by the late Anne Hesh, an attorney whose house overlooks L.A., is sweet, although it's unclear how long she'll put up with it. Then Nikki meets Heather, played by Margarita Oliveira, really looking good in this movie. This is actually her first major film role, and of course she would later go on to star in, most recently she was just in Daredevil Born Again. She plays a waitress who is in the big movie asks the question, is the player being played or might this be love? What will Nikki discover? So there's a little bit of a Matthew McConaughey comedy, but also a little bit thrown in of Boomerang, that Eddie Murphy movie, where it's pretty much kind of the same concept overall, except that one was more played for straightforward laughs. This one is more dramedy-ish type of feeling overall. It goes much more darker than most people would expect it to do. You also have a cast that includes Sebastian Stan, Ashley Johnson, Rachel Blanchard, Maria Conchita Alonso, Hart Bachner. It's a film that kind of came and went, didn't really do a whole lot overall, but it's a lot better than I think people make it out to be. It was not received well by critics overall, and it was interesting to see Ashton Kutcher taking on a much different role overall, but you could definitely tell this was something made for Matthew McConaughey, because, I mean, right down to him trying to act like Matthew McConaughey, which I really think was a bad move overall. Like I said, the accent gets old pretty fast, but the character overall is very interesting, and I think everybody else in here does a very good job. I thought Anne Hesh was really good. Margarita Oliveira is very good here. Sebastian Stan. There's a lot of good things I like about the movie overall. Is it a perfect film? No. There's definitely a lot of flaws, specifically with how Kutcher plays the role, but the character overall is interesting enough, and I like the concept overall. There's a lot of good talent in here, too, so yeah, I think it's a much better movie than people let on. Is it a great movie? No, but it's certainly a lot better than I think most people make it out to be, and one you should definitely check out. See Ashton Kutcher in a much different role than you expect it to be, so anyway, that is Spread. And so with that said, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies, and next time we'll take a look at 6 more movies. Not quite as strong as the slate that we had this week, but we have some good movies in there. Inglourious Basterds, the latest film from Quentin Tarantino. We have Robert Rodriguez's latest film, Shorts. Alexis Bledel, in her first major film role after Gilmore Girls and the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, post-grad. We have the ESPN X Games 3D, the movie. We have Robin Williams starring in World's Greatest Dad, and we also have The Mark Pease Experience, produced by Ben Stiller. So 6 movies we'll take a look at next time around. We'll delve into all those coming up on the next episode. But until then, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please go ahead and hit that playlist on the next page. Check out the previous episode. And also, don't forget to hit the like button, the subscribe button, the notification button, and the bell, because you get updates on when new videos come out, and we do post new videos here every day. And don't go too far away, because coming up on Time About the Movies Flashback, we're taking a look at 3 films released on April 24th, 1987, Extreme Prejudice, My Demon Lover, and Forever Lulu. So we'll take a look at those 3 films coming up on Time About the Movies Flashback. That'll be coming up after I post this up, so please stick around, because we will be right back with Time About the Movies Flashback after this.